Hello everyone. So quickly in this video, I want to just explain something that a lot of students, especially beginners in the programming field, find confusing. As an instructor with over 4 years of experience teaching, I have students always, ponder, ask questions, get confused. I don't know which one to go for: web development, software development. They don't even understand they don't understand the difference. And when you probably try to teach them the same things, they expect that you're going to teach them something different for software and something different for web development. So quickly in this video, I will just explain the difference. It's going to be brief. I'll explain the difference and the similarities. So basically, the first thing I need to understand is that for whether you are learning, you want to learn web development or software development, you now I'm focusing on the front end now, on the front end and even on the back end. You probably need to learn the same technologies, the same courses. So if you're coming to learn web development, I'm teaching you, or we're teaching you HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, TypeScript, and what have you. On the back end, Node, Express, and all of that, MongoDB. If you are learning web development as well, if the same thing, you are going to learn. So you should understand that you actually learn the same course. It's just very funny, but that's what it is. You learn the same thing. And the good part is this: if you're learning one, you can actually do the other. That's the beautiful part. If you're actually trained as a, now when I talk about web developer, I'm not talking about WordPress developers that just use templates. Like, you're a programmer, you can build websites, you can definitely build web apps and softwares as well, depending on whether you're full stack or you are front end or back end. All right. No, that being said, so you should understand, like I said, yeah, it's exactly the front end part and the back end. Whether you want to learn web development or software development, there's the front end part, there's the back end part. Some people start by learning back end, some start by learning front end, and some just take their time to learn everything. But you actually need both sides to work. You don't have to learn every other part. You can actually learn the front end and collaborate on a team with someone that has mastered the back end. So basically, the front end is all the parts you can see on the page, the buttons, the form, the images, the text. That's what the front end developers build, whether web or software. Back end developers build things that are behind the scene that can be seen. The database server. I'm sure you've heard of the word database server. We have the APIs and authentication logic and all of those things. So you should understand that whether it's a website or a software or a web app, it is built the same way. The front end is built the same way. It might just be like the user interface might just be different, and that is not your worry. A product designer is the one that designs how a website should look. A product designer also designs how a web app or a software should look. So your own is just to get the Figma, the design, whatever, Figma, wherever, and just code it out to reality. Moving on, websites run on browser. For instance, now we have this is a website now. Okay, let me show you. This is my academy website. This is a website. It runs on the browser. This is Google Chrome, right? We also have okay, let me go back to the slide. So website runs on browser. We should understand that. We also have web apps. Web apps are not normal website like this where people just come and do things. Web apps are also run on browsers, but they perform not the usual. They're not usual things. They're not websites. So I'm going to show you an example. I opened a web app I'm currently building. It's called Grateful. So I come to VS Code. I start my server. This is probably advanced. This is built with React, on the front end, MongoDB, Express, and Node.js on the back end. If you don't know what those means, you don't have to worry. Just over time, you start from where you start from: HTML, CSS. That's for the front end. On the back end, you probably start from where you need to start from. So I'm just going to show you now. This is just an example of a web app. It's not a website. It is not currently hosted anywhere. This is a local server. It has its own server currently. It is not hosted anywhere, but I just want you to see and have an idea of what a web app looks like. So quickly, now this is the beginning. It's called Grateful. It's an educational, web app. Now these are like different pages I can log. This is a school management system, literally. So you can log into this school admin, whether it's the chance, secondary school, university, class teacher. There's also the one for higher institution. So this is just an instance. Now inside this, there are so many things inside this. Beyond just these 4 cards, there's so much work, so much that I don't want to start talking about. So this is a web app. This is a website. We also have so now we have the softwares. So if the interesting part is this is currently like a web app. I can host it and it's going to have a URL, but the intention is to actually convert it to the software. So you literally build them the same way, right? You build them the same way, and you decide what you actually want at the long run. So websites run on web browsers, just like what I showed you. We have desktop software. So desktop softwares are things like we have VS Code. If you are already into programming, maybe like a beginner, you might have installed something like VS Code. VS Code is where you run that what I just opened now. That is where you run your code, right? That is VS Code. So VS Code is a software that you get to install. You get to install just like you have your desktop WhatsApp, you have even your Google Chrome. You installed it, right? So these are softwares, you download them, install them, and you open them. They run. So you can build a web app and convert it to a software. A software is it's going to be like a file where people can download and install, and it runs. So, like I said, interesting part is many desktop applications are actually built with the same technologies that we also use to build websites. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We have what we call JavaScript frameworks such as React.js, Angular, Vue.js, and the likes. So the only difference is that's for web apps now or softwares. They are packaged into a desktop application using tools such as Electron and others. So when you build your web app like that one I showed us, that Great Vault, I can now use Electron.js to bundle them, to package them into that is downloadable and installable file. But before then, after building, I will still have to go through the same process of hosting the front end on a platform. Netlify is a free platform. I need to host the backend also on a different platform, free or paid, and then I don't necessarily have to buy a domain name. If you are building a website as well, you after you build everything, you still need to host your front end also on that Netlify. You will host your backend, and you will now need to buy a domain name. A domain name is where you have something.com, right? That is a domain name. So you buy that .com or .org, .edu. That's a domain name. So you buy those ones separately. That's for website. But for web apps, you can also buy a domain name. But for softwares, you don't even need to. Once you just host them freely on separate platforms, which I've probably talked about in some other videos, you probably now have to go through the process of bonding them into a software, and that is all. And the good news is you don't have to worry. Once you've already built, you have smart AI options like ChatGPT, the paid version, Plus or Premium, to guide you on how to convert to bundle your web app that you've built, bundle it into a downloadable and installable software. In fact, interestingly, okay, let me not go deep so I don't confuse you. So the point is the same code, the same knowledge, the same languages that you learn is what you use. So React application, you can use it for many things. You can use it to build websites. You can use it to build web apps. You can use it to build desktop applications, which we call softwares. That is the ones you can download and install. And you can also use them to use the same React code to build PWAs, progressive web apps. They work like a website, but they can be installed on mobile devices and they work offline. So the programming skills are literally identical, very identical. And why do we teach the same foundation? Before building websites or desktop softwares, every developer must learn the core technologies. If you are on the front end, like I've mentioned, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, or any other JavaScript framework. And on the back end, I've mentioned quite a number of ones that you can learn, including Node.js, including Express.js, including MongoDB, and we have a few others. So these same technologies that you're going to learn are the foundation for many different parts in tech. It's interesting to know that a programming language like Python is even more vast. People on different career paths in tech actually learn Python, and you'll be like, okay, why do I need to learn Python? I think Python is for this. People use Python to build websites, softwares, AI, machine learning, different things. The same way it is for this. So it's like one stone sometimes in programming can kill multiple birds. So if you are learning and you find, I don't want you to think that there is a separate thing you need to learn as a web developer and a separate set of tools you need to learn for software. Once you learn this, you can do both. That's the good part. So you can work as a software developer and also build websites. Very beautiful. So main difference, okay, I think I've talked about this already. So in summary, websites are hosted online, they access through the browser, they use a domain in which you need to buy like .com, .org, they're accessible from anywhere. Why? Desktop softwares are packaged into, installable applications. They can be downloaded and installed, and they run directly on your computer. Some like can even run offline. So that is just basically the difference between them. All right, so I hope I've been able to explain this. By the way, I'm Badru Limide David. I'm an instructor, and of course, I'm the president of OVTech Academy. We teach, we empower, we train. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. You might want to share this to every other beginner that you feel might need this video, so that they don't remain confused. Thank you.